Ever since Bryan Kohberger was arrested just a few days ago, he has already been convicted in the court of public opinion. The general public has already assumed that he is guilty of this case just by simply reading the affidavit and agreeing with the narrative that has been pushed forward by the Idaho Police Department. My name is Michael Rainka. I'm a defense attorney in Jacksonville, Florida, with more than a decade of experience. And in this video, I want to explain the case in defense of Bryan Kohberger. Because when you really read and understand and are able to digest the information that is in the probable cause affidavit for Bryan Kohberger, it becomes very clear that the entire case that the Idaho Police Department has, at least right now, based against Bryan Kohberger, is based entirely upon circumstantial evidence. They have absolutely no direct evidence that connects Bryan Kohberger to the scene of the crime. Now, in this case, everyone is going to harp on the DNA, and everyone's going to say that the DNA is the direct evidence, that the DNA left behind on the sheath of the knife found at the victim's home is direct evidence of Bryan Kohberger's guilt. And this is where the confusion comes in, is because DNA evidence is not direct evidence, but rather it's circumstantial evidence. Because there's a very distinct difference between circumstantial evidence and direct evidence. Direct evidence is eyewitness testimonies, meaning I saw you do something illegal, and I can come into court and I can point to you and I can say, that's the person that I saw do this crime. Or that would be photographs taken by someone that may include an individual at the scene of the crime while the crime was taking place. Or it may be video evidence of an individual entering into a home or actually committing a crime. All of the evidence that we have in this case is purely circumstantial. Number one, the DNA evidence is 100% circumstantial evidence. The DNA evidence in this case does not prove or disprove that Bryan Kohberger did in fact commit any crime. The only fact that the DNA evidence proves is that there was an item that was inside the home of these individuals that had the DNA of Bryan Kohberger on it. Now, we haven't gotten the full story about how much DNA was recovered, only that it was found on the button of a sheath from a knife that was located in the bedroom of one of the individuals who was murdered. Most likely this was touch DNA, which is just most likely a fingerprint or something like that, which would be your skin cells that are left behind. This, on my part, is just pure speculation. I don't know. But I can tell you that based upon the probable cause affidavit, the Idaho Police Department does not go into great detail to explain exactly what type of DNA evidence it was, just to say that it was in fact DNA evidence. This in and of itself is not direct evidence. It is purely circumstantial evidence. Everyone will point to, well, the cell phone records. Again, the cell phone records are not direct evidence. The cell phone records are purely circumstantial evidence. The cell phone records really paint a picture of where Bryan Kohberger's cell phone may have been traveling at that time, during that date and during that time. But what people don't really realize is cell phone records of where a phone may be at any particular place is not GPS records. GPS records, as many people know, can be accurate to within 1 to 2 meters of where an individual may be. Cell phone records, where a phone may ping off a certain tower, are not anywhere near as reliable. Cell phone records, you can have a phone ping off of a tower that may have been half a mile from the home, and then the same phone may ping off a tower 25 miles away, because your phone is constantly looking for these cell phone towers to connect to make calls so that it can stay active. These cell phone records, again, are not direct evidence, but rather circumstantial evidence. And the only fact that they may prove is that Bryan Kohberger's cell phone, not Bryan Kohberger himself, was within the immediate vicinity of the crime. People, again, will point to the fact that he may have cleaned his car, that he may have been taking trash out of his parents' home in Pennsylvania in the middle of the night. Again, this may be suspicious behavior, and this may lead to what's called probable cause for his arrest, which in this case it did. But this is not direct evidence that ties him to the scene of the crime. or this is not direct evidence that actually physically proves that he was on the scene and that he actually committed these 4 homicides. What any defense attorney in this case will do is they will take those specific points and they will try to exploit them to the benefit of their client. Now, I can't tell you what Bryan Kohberger's attorney's defenses may be. He was just arrested a few days ago, and these types of cases, especially any homicide case, especially when you have multiple homicide cases, this defense is going to take months, if not years, to develop. But these are things just from the outset, from a criminal defense attorney's standpoint, that I can tell you that his defense is going to be looking into, that they are going to try to research and investigate more to develop a potential defense for Bryan Kohberger, if in fact he chooses to go to trial and to fight these charges. If you found any of this information useful or helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you have been hurt or injured and you believe that you may have a case, please feel free to contact me. If I can't help you, I know someone that will and that can, so that your legal rights are protected.